What's up, everybody? Special edition this week. I know usually I do my video where I'm talking about the weekly wrap ups and talk about next week's matchup. But because of all the trades that have happened over the last 2 weeks, I figure why not get some team owners here, get their input on the trades, and also talk about the trades that went down. All right, first up, I'll introduce to the right here is Hock-Tua, aka Jordan. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, thank you.
And all the way to the end here, we have Frank's Jets. My bro-in-law, Frank. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
All right, so Frank, I'm going to start with you. When you're just trying to make a trade, what's going through your head? How do you go about deciding who you want to trade, who you want? What's your mindset?
I think the first thing is you got to be realistic about your team and where your team's going to go. I actually thought my team was pretty good this year, but early injury bug killed me. So, once I saw everybody making big trades and putting together powerhouse type teams, before then I thought I had a chance of making the playoffs. I think I actually still have a chance of making the playoffs. But once everybody built these crazy teams, I knew it was time for me to start to prep for next year. And then when evaluating the trades, to be honest, I was just trying to build up draft capital and pick up some rookie QBs that, if they hit, they're like extra draft capital for next year. So that's why I picked up McCarthy and Caleb. So
Well, yeah, again, I think the Caleb Williams pickup was huge, and that's one of the trades we're going to be talking about later because I thought that was a huge pickup, especially because what was he, a third rounder last year? Yeah, so he gets to be kept in the third round next year. I think it was a huge pick. All right, so Jordan, last year, last place, you had a lot of draft capital coming into this draft. You come in. You build a solid team. Started off slowly, but now 500, and now you start to push your way up. What are you looking for in your trades?
Well, since having all that draft capital, I'm in a win now. I think that's what you have to determine whether you're in a win now mind state or if you're okay with pushing it till next year and wanting that draft capital. I'm win now. I had all the picks that I had. Some of them panned out. Some of them haven't panned out. But yeah, I'm just looking to whatever person is going to give me the best advantage going down the later weeks in the playoff runs. Taking a look at bye weeks. Making sure who I'm going up against and what kind of favorable matchup I can find.
No, and that's exactly what I mean. My number one goal this year is to stop Juan from winning the third championship because he cannot repeat. Time to see that damn trophy in my job.
Agreed.
Time to hear his bragging about, first 3-time champion. I'm tired of hearing that. So that's my number one goal. I want to win this year. It's been a long time since I won. I think it's 2016. The last year I won. And I did something this year I think I was ever going to do, and that was trade a first rounder. But I didn't set the precedent. And now we're going to jump into the trades. And that's what we're going to talk about now. We'll first start off going back. The first trade was between me and Marco. And at the time, it was early in the season. And Kenneth Walker. So, first off, how did you guys rate this trade?
So what was it? Brian Robinson Jr. You traded
Brian Robinson Jr. and an eighth for and Marco gave me Kenneth Walker and the ninth.
Well, I gave both teams a solid B. I mean, I think it was a pretty even trade. Running back for running back. I think Arthur slightly, he gets the one higher up draft pick. Although Kenneth Walker, he's very good. I think you slightly won out on that because you get to move up a spot in the draft.
Frank?
on this trade, I gave you a C, and I gave a B to Marco, even though I'm not sure what Marco was doing at the time because he's since sold off his whole entire team. But look, I think Kenneth Walker has, top 5 running back upside. And, without pass catching, I don't think Brian Robinson is, even a number 1 running back. He's a solid number 2 guy who's going to give you 10 to 14 points a week. But without the catches, Kenneth Walker's a beast. So I gave the edge to Marco. I don't know if he's traded him since. But
no, he actually still has Kenneth Walker. Yeah.
Trade him,
I was
Marco.
trying to trade this morning,
him.
but
Trade him.
Well, and I'll tell you, what my side with this trade was actually that I think Kenneth Walker is the better running back. I think he has the potential to give you a 20-plus point game on a more consistent basis. My issue with Walker, I've had him in the past. He gets injured. And he seems to get injured right around playoff time. And in my head, I'm thinking, all right, I started off strong. I believe I started off 3-1, 4-1. I'm probably going to make the playoffs. I don't want Walker going down in the playoffs like he's done every year. Washington was on the uprise. Jalen Daniels looked good, so I took the chance and also got the extra 8th round pick, which it seems just one round. But then I'm also thinking where Marco's going to draft. If he's not going to draft well, the 8th round is actually doesn't work out for me. He's actually going to be towards the end, right? First, third, fifth, stuff. So it actually be towards the end. I actually thought he was going to be doing better, but Marco actually had a great team. He just, for whatever reason, couldn't win. And then 1-7, he started selling.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing about this trade is that you might be trading the 9-2 for the 8-11, you know? Mm-hmm. So it might be a 4 or 5 spot move up. So
yeah, and I think that's what it may be in this, depending on how high it might be in these picks. Next up, we have Buffalo Bills, legendary giant, Patrick Mahomes going to Alex for Joe Burrow and Addison. And I want to throw this caveat. Joe Burrow, actually, for one, Patrick Mahomes, he could not keep after this year. He was going to lose him. So part of the trade on Juan's end was to get rid of Mahomes because he couldn't keep him anymore. Frank, what did you think about that trade? How'd you grade it?
Look, I hate to say it because I think he's a terrible trader, but I think Juan wins the trade. I mean, I don't see much of a difference between Mahomes and Burrow at this point in time. I think that's a wash, and Juan was desperate for wide receivers. And I think, Addison gives him some wide receiver depth. So I think Juan wins this trade.
Well, yeah, especially we start talking about later on who he ended up trading Addison for, which turned out to be, in my opinion, a steal. But we'll get to that shortly. Jordan, what was your thought on this?
I mean, yeah, similarly agree to what Frank said. I gave, Alex a C on that. Like Mahomes, Mahomes is Mahomes. But fantasy-wise, he just hasn't done anything this year. Doesn't have the depth that he usually has, and Juan obviously getting Addison, which we'll talk about how he traded him, kind of worked out. So I gave Juan a B+ for that.
That's all right. Yeah, for me, I gave Juan an A, and I gave Alex a B just because, like I said, I agree with Frank. He gave up the extra player. I think a straight up trade would have been fine. Giving up Addison, I don't think there was need for it. So that was the only slight difference. I'm going to skip some of the trades that really didn't have much effect at all. But the next, I think, semi-relevant trade was on October 21st. We had MC8000 and Hock-Tua in a trade. DJ Moore for Najee Harris. So what was your mindset in that trade?
Well, I was desperate for a running back. So, I had Jacobs, Etienne, was consistently getting hurt and he wasn't producing like I thought he would. And I figured Najee, who has been doing great the past couple weeks, I figured that was a fair trade. I had wide receivers at the time to expend, and I was just looking for a solid running back that can give me double-digit points on almost a weekly basis. All
right, and so Fred, what did you think about this trade?
It's another one of those who cares trades. I mean, I guess Marco was in competing mode again and quickly changed his mind. But, I mean, it's a running back for a wide receiver. I think it addressed both teams' needs at the time, and it was fine.
Well, I'm looking up right now because I want to see exactly how Najee Harris has done since that trade. And bring it up right here. Let's see. Najee Harris.
6-2.
Wait, where is he? Is he on the bench? Did you start
he's on
him?
a bye week.
Oh, he has a bye week this week. But if you look at the last few weeks, I mean, 22 points, 18 points, 18 points. So, I mean, you on the money. He was on the rise. Some of that coincides with Russell Wilson joining in. But, yeah, I mean, it looks like a good trade. For me, I gave Jordan the B+ on that. I gave Marco the B- because with DJ Moore, it was hit or miss. And he had so many receivers on that team. Caleb, Komet, you have DJ Moore, you have Adunze, you have Keenan Allen, and then you have Swift in the backfield. You have just so many options. Yeah, I think you won out that trade. Now, here was the first big major trade. And this trade set a precedent. It made history. It was the first round pick ever traded in this league. Pits and Giggles, Y2 deal on October 23rd. Lamar Jackson and Hockenson for Will Levis, a 2025 third rounder and a 2026 first rounder. Jordan, what did you think about that trade?
Marty got a plus for that. I mean, obviously Lamar is a fantasy stud. Hockenson, he's coming back soon, and with it being a tight end premium league now, that could be big for him. He was like in the middle of the pack, and he has some great talent now. I can see Marty once again making another big push like he normally does. Great trading by him. For Y2 deal, I mean, obviously you get the draft picks. You got the number 1 pick in 2 years. I mean, the first rounder in 2 years. You got another third rounder for next year. Good depth, but for now, Marty wins this trade because it immediately pushes him into a, winning spot.
Frank, what would you?
I'm gonna go the other side on this because, look, I love Lamar, but he is a skinny Russian quarterback who could easily go down. Clearly, you're renting him for only the next couple of months because you can't keep him because you don't got a first-round pick, and he's a first-round pick.
Well, you can keep him next year. You just can't keep him the year after. So you can keep him for 1 year.
2026.
Yeah, the 2026 first
round.
rounder.
Let me go on record. I think the ability to trade 26 first rounders in this, I think we got to readdress that because that's a little bit far out.
It's actually something we're going to discuss. Yeah, because I don't even think it's going to be put to a vote. I think after this year we're changing that rule where you can only go 1 round, 1 year ahead, not 2.
But I think this mortgages both his 2025 and 2026 draft classes. I mean, third round pick is an important pick. First round pick, obviously a very important pick. Mm-hmm. I think for Marty, it's win or you're not going to be good for the next 2 years. And talking about trading 2026 picks, anybody else who's like really light in 2025 picks right now, I'm willing to swap 2026 for 2025 picks. So I think I'm going to personally take the approach of I'm going to try to finish last every other year and finish first in the years I don't finish last. So look, I'm building for 2025. So if you're already tanking for 2025, hit me up. We could swap some 2076 for 2025 picks.
And this is gonna be the reason why we're gonna put an end to the whole 2 year. With it, what's funny? So I got 2 things. I agree with you, Lamar Jackson. You're risking a lot. The one thing I'll give Marty this year, he had a big gap of picks. Now I know the top picks those are premiums, first and third. But he had a big gap, and he still fielded he's Mr. Waiver King. I mean, the guy, he's King Waiver. He just knows how to pick up players where you're like, what the hell? You even heard the person all of a sudden got Jawan Jennings, 46 points. He picks him up for 1 week. But on Y2 deal side, it could be a good trade if you show up for the draft. If you don't show up, your first round is going to be Joe Flacco. I mean, but I mean, all joking aside, Danny, I mean, it's a great trade. Yes, you built up a first rounder for 26, a third rounder 25. I think that was a lot for Lamar Jackson. I have B's for both just because on how Y2 deals with that, and on Pitts, and like I said, Lamar Jackson. If there's an injury, it's nothing.
If there's an injury that like he's done this year, next year, and the next year, and it's tough.
So I want to talk about this trade because it didn't really move the needle. But then to me, this was just a trade where it just scratched my head, and it was a trade right after that. Legendary Giant Y2 deal. Deebo Samuel for Jordan Mason and a 10th rounder. And this is after he trades Lamar Jackson to Pits and Giggles. Make it make sense, that trade.
I can't. I mean, a 10th rounder for a potential good keeper or depth piece may be nice, but I
would have tried for an 8th and tell him to keep Jordan Mason and keep getting points from it. I mean,
that's what I
don't know
figured.
What they're negotiating. I mean, maybe this was. I don't know if this is something Juan offered him or not, but maybe Juan offered the trade.
Juan does have this way of somehow pulling trades. Like, huh? And I don't know how he does it, but
definitely a head scratch.
All right, this is the next trade, which now in hindsight looks like a very bad one-sided trade, but at the time understood why. And it was Ojo Meister, who's still undefeated, and Bad Boys. Eddie was already, I think, 1-5 at the time, or 1-6, and he was selling. So Stephon Diggs for Deontay Johnson, Xavier Worthy, and a 10th rounder. Barring now that Stephon Diggs is out for the year, you know what? Let's say, how do you think Eddie pulled on that trade? How do you think he did on that trade?
I mean, I think he did okay. Worthy could be a nice keeper for next year. I don't remember the rest of his team, and obviously the 10th rounder. At the time, Ojo definitely won out on the trade. Obviously now, Bad Boys got the better end of the deal considering Diggs is unfortunately out for the year. But he did okay. I think Worthy's a good pickup, and like I said, it's always good to have those extra draft picks. You never know what keeper you'll find.
I think with this trade, it led to something bigger, and we're about to talk about that. Before I do, I want to talk about this other trade. and this was between me and Ojo Meister. I give up Kyle Pitts, and I get Fryermuth, Pacheco, and a 12th rounder. And I'll tell you, in my head, the reason why I was doing that was I wanted to secure a running back come the postseason. And I thought Pacheco would be someone who could potentially give me some good points coming down the playoff stretch. And I had 2 other tight ends at the time. I also had Kraft, and I had Komet, and they all were pretty much scoring the same. Pitts was on the rise, but Pitts has also burned me in the past. What are your thoughts on the trade, Frank?
I think this was before Pacheco got hurt.
This was after Pacheco. Pacheco was already on the IR.
Yeah.
I strictly did this trade because I was thinking Pacheco's going to be back by, I think, week 10 or week less, so he'll be there for the playoff run.
I mean, it's a fairly fair trade. I mean, I don't see anything terribly wrong with it. If you had backup tight ends, I mean, it's fine.
I mean, Pacheco could potentially give you a good run towards the later of the season.
But is Pacheco not done for the season?
He's not done for the season. No, he's projected to come back, I believe it's in 2 weeks. And as I said, that's the reason why I did it, because it was just have that insurance.
It could be good then.
So something about the Diggs trade, and it led to this trade. Ojo Meister gets Hunter Henry, Daniel Jones, Jacoby Myers, and Ramondre Stevenson for a 3rd rounder. And this was a deal, and I'll tell you right now, and I don't know how many of you got it. I know I did. Y2 Deal was peddling this 3rd round, trying to get a 3rd round from everybody with these same guys, and he got somebody to pull the trade. Frank, what do you think about this trade?
Look, this is the steal of the trade season. I couldn't get a 3rd rounder for AJ Hurts and AJ Brown put together. I look at the guys that Ojo Meister got in this trade, and it's like garbage, and more garbage. And a 3rd round pick is huge. I mean, Y2 Deal is pretty stacked with the picks he's picked up. I mean, 2 3rd rounders next year, a 1st in 2026. Hey, good for him. Get rid of the rest of your guys. I don't know why he's not making more trades, because he has some good draft capital for next year. I don't know what Ojo Meister was thinking, but I could have given him AJ Brown for the 3rd. But.
Yeah, I don't know. When I saw it, I was maybe it was just me. Like, but it's I almost was going to void the trade. Because I was like, no, this is too one-sided. But my thing is, I'm not going to avoid a trade because it's a bad trade. I'm going to avoid a trade if I feel this collusion. And I don't think this was collusion. I think this was a reaction to losing Diggs and trying to figure out how to because listen, he's undefeated right now. And listen, there may be a method to the madness. It did hurt when I also saw him drop Daniel Jones, because I was like, you could have traded him for some. That any quarterback that's starting that can give you any type of points can be traded for a draft pick. What do you think about this trade?
Yeah, definitely a head scratcher. I mean, these guys are good depth pieces, you know, in case one of your top guys get hurt, but none of these guys are going to carry you to a championship. I don't think, I mean, maybe Henry because of the tight end premium, but, you know, obviously you drop Jones, Myers, he's decent, but unless he gets traded, he's not going to be a number 1 receiver. And Stevenson's a hit or miss. You'll get either 20 points from him or 2 points from him. So, yeah, definitely a head scratcher to give up the 3rd round. I get it, but, you know, just trying to make that push. He's undefeated. If he wins, it all works out.
All right, and then followed after that, we had, now this was a trade that was in the making from the week prior, because I was talking to Marco about a trade. He wanted to give it one more week because he had a good team. He lost again. It hurt me because I gave up 2 things that I didn't want to give up. I trade my first rounder for next year, Malik Neighbors, Pat Fryermuth, Devin Singletary, Marcus Mariota, for Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Alvin Kamara, Sam Darnold, 7th rounder. What did you think of the trade?
I mean, smart on Marco. I mean, he gets a 1st round for next year. Malik Neighbors as a keeper.
In the 3rd round, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, obviously it automatically puts you into, you know, the championship conversation. Because, you know, Kelce, even though he's older, he could still give you those games. Tyreek Hill now with Tua back is going to be a monster. Kamara is obviously putting up numbers. Even Darnold, you know, God forbid one of your QBs go down, you have a decent backup. You know, yeah. I think you went out on the trade more, even though Marco does get the 1st round. But obviously, you know, depending on who he picks, that could backfire on him hard. But yeah, definitely, you know, you went out on this trade. Very good trade for both sides. And yeah.
Look, on this trade, I gave you a B. I gave Marco an A. Look, you completely turned over your kind of lineup and put top quality guys in there. Marco gets 2 first-round picks. I think Malik Neighbors next year is a first-round pick. He gets to keep him in round whatever.
So he's going to have 3
and he gets a
first-round
first-round pick, and he has his own first-round pick.
Exactly.
3 first-rounders next year.
I think that, it was a good trade for both of you. But again, you got to win.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. If I don't win, then Marco wins the straight out. Right. If I win, then it comes. Then it was a great trade for both.
And without a first, without a third, without a hit on a rookie like Malik Neighbors for next year, I think you want to be sending me some of your 2025s.
Oh, we're trying to wheel a deal. That's funny. All right. Then we had Frank's Jets and Bushwick Hitman, and we had Frank give up A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, a 10th rounder and an 11th rounder for J.J. McCarthy, a 4th rounder next year, a 6th rounder next year, and a 5th rounder in 2026. Jordan, what do you think about this trade?
I think Frank wins out on this trade. I mean, the 4th and the 6th rounder are going to be nice because you still get some good players in those rounds. It hurts giving up A.J. Brown and Hurts, but yeah, I think it was a good side for both teams. I gave both teams an A. Obviously Frank is building his championship team for next season. This puts Bubba in a good spot with the Hurts Brown, handcuff combo. Yeah, pretty good trade.
So look, in hindsight, I think I could have got more.
Well, and that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
On my end, and the reason why I say that is that looking at all the other trades right now, he probably would have gotten more for AJ. Well, it goes 2 ways because also is who's left out there still trying to get players. I mean, we haven't heard anything from Gotham Knights. I know there was a few trades he tried to pull, but he hasn't pulled a trade. Alex really hasn't pulled a substantial trade. So there are some teams that are still in it that needed players. So I think you could have gotten more. I mean, that being said, yeah, you got a hole. And at the point where if you're not going to be in it, you go ahead and you sell. And with Bushwick Hitman, it makes them stronger. So like I said, this is the type of thing where it helps out both teams with the draft capital and with the players. We're going to go, I'll talk about the trade with both of you. There was Jordan traded Caleb Williams in a 4th rounder to Frank for Pickens and A-Chain. And for me, I think Frank won out this trade 100%.
Undoubtedly.
I do understand why. Well, I'll tell you, Jordan, why did you pull the trade?
Well, I seriously in need of death. I had a few guys. Steelers player aside, I desperately needed another running back again. I needed the depth. Bo Nix is going to be the guy that I'm keeping. He's a 7th round quarterback, and I think he'll put up similar, if not better, numbers than Caleb Williams. It sucked giving up Caleb. It sucked more for the 4th rounder. But with all the trades everybody else was making, I needed to find a way to beef up the rest of my team. And A-Chain, I think, was a great pickup for me. He already has 16 points today. Yeah, it sucks. I definitely lost out because that's going to help him immensely next year. But, those players with Russell Wilson throwing to Pickens, I think Pickens is a top 5 receiver.
See, that was fun. Actually, I didn't take it into account, but that actually makes a lot of sense. Because actually, Pickens now, with Russell Wilson throwing to him, actually brings value also. And it actually does make sense. It was a lot to give up, but, yeah, I mean, right now, you're in the title mix also. And I guess A-Chain, listen, with a healthy Tua, A-Chain he could pull up big numbers. And then Frank is loaded next year. I mean, so now Caleb Williams, he could keep in the 3rd round. He's got a lot of draft capital going into next year. J.J. McCarthy, because I got to say, J.J. McCarthy, either he stays with Minnesota or he gets traded to the Chargers. Don't be surprised if he has a reunion with Harborough. Would not be surprised with that. Well, I'm telling you, I won't be surprised. But, all right. And then on our Halloween, I made the trade with Bad Boys. I traded McCaffrey for a 3rd rounder. Further giving up draft capital, but building up my thing. And then I want to talk about this one final trade.
Wait. But let's talk about that's my 2nd F.
Okay, go ahead.
I think you get an F on that trade, man.
Okay.
3rd rounder for Christian McCaffrey. I don't know if he's coming back.
Yeah.
When he gets back, I think Mason has proved that he's a quality number 2. And I think he's going to get a lot of run. I think the Niners get bit by the injury bug every year. I think they're going to be conservative with McCaffrey. And I don't think you're going to see top numbers from McCaffrey until weeks, playoff weeks. And not our playoff weeks, the NFL playoff weeks.
I don't think that.
you're gonna have lost the season by then.
So this is how I look at it that way, right? I don't think it's gonna be that far down the road because San Francisco's not running away with it in the NFC West.
Yeah,
And I think because of that, their offense has struggled because he's not in the mix. And now he lost Ayuk, which was Purdy's other security blanket. I think when McCaffrey comes back, trust me, where he's going to be getting the end zone runs. Listen, Mason's going to be a part of it. McCaffrey is the engine that makes that offense go.
Yeah, he is, but he's not going to be the 22-point a game difference maker.
No, but if he's 15 to 18 points a game, I think that's...
Look, when you can get Bijan Robinson for shit.
Well, that goes in. Well, don't get.
And then you traded third round. I mean, it looks pretty
bad. And that's what we're talking about. The final trade. Bijan Robinson. Juan gets Bijan Robinson for Rachaad White, Jordan Addison, Ladd McConkey, and an 8th rounder. And I'm going to speak first on this. What the hell? I have been sending trade offers to Steel Curtain 13. I actually offered her a better deal with this. A higher draft pick. I don't get it. And yeah, I know when the Rachaad White thing we found out was just a mistake. But when I saw that, I was like, wait, this doesn't make more sense. But again, this goes to Juan. Somehow, some way, pulls off a freaking trade that doesn't make sense on how he got this player. But now he gets Bijan Robinson.
But it's literally like, why? Like, why Rachaad White? Why do you want Jordan Addison? An 8th round is fine, and maybe Ladd McConkey's a steal. But, like...
Yeah, no, not for Bijan, who's averaging about 20 points a game.
And
he's not doing great things, and he's averaging 20 points a game.
Not when a couple hours earlier, an injured Christian McCaffrey went for a third.
Yeah, I don't...
It's like, take your cue, man.
And let me tell you, the McCaffrey trade I actually had 2 days prior. And I left it there and I didn't touch it. Because I was trying to get Robinson. Because I was like, McCaffrey.
Yeah, I don't get it.
And then finally I was like, listen, we're getting close to the deadline. I don't want him to pull this trade back. I want that insurance of running back because, listen, part of the postseason also, when you make the playoffs, is the injuries. And I want to make sure that even my bench is stacked. So if somebody goes down, I can put it right in and I want to win. And that's why I pulled the trigger on it. And then Robinson goes for a 5th, man. Yeah.
For an 8th.
8th, not a 5th.
Oh, no, for an 8th, not 5th, an 8th. Went for an 8th.
Yeah, definitely a head scratcher on Steel Curtain side. I mean, Rachaad White could potentially, but with Bucky Irving and that being a split backfield, there was just no upside for it. But you never know. God forbid, Bijan could be hurt next week.
No.
You never know.
100%.
That's what fantasy is. But yeah, definitely Quan won that by a lot.
And if you're trading Bijan, why aren't you trading everybody else on your team and getting picks? That's what I don't know. Yeah, because if anything, I would have forget the other two and just give me White and go a higher draft pick. If you go White in a 4th, okay. You're not losing much production point-wise from you see between the two, and you got the 4th for next year to build your team up. But for an 8th, it doesn't really do anything. All right, man. So that was man. We had a bulk of trades. The deadline, I believe, I don't know if it's Monday or Tuesday. I know deadline is to be done. So any last-minute trades, man, reach out. You got Frank's mindset, you got Jordan's mindset, my mindset on how you go about trades. You could go your own way, but what I will recommend is that when you're trading, also look what the other team has, what they may need, because that may better facilitate a trade. If you get an offer, even if it's a ridiculous offer, counter it. If there's somebody that you want and make it work, counter it. If there's somebody that you want. But and if you're trading with Juan, just don't, man. And always count it. He sends the stupidest trades, but love you, Juan.
All right. Thank you guys for saying today and talking about this. Good luck to everybody this week. Next week we'll go back and talk about how everybody did. But we're getting close, man. We're already past the halfway point. For the Giants game, the Giants Tampa game, I'm gonna shoot an email out this week. Start talking about who's gonna be bringing what, because it's only about 3 weeks away. So looking forward to that. A little tailgating.
Hey, and any one of my players for any kind of pick upgrade. I mean, you want Justin Herbert? Give me an 11th for a 10th, whatever you want, man. They're all out there, all available.
You heard it here. Here we go. Here we go. All right. You guys have a great week. Thank you guys again.
Thank you.
Good luck, everybody.
All right, man. And don't forget to vote.